Well, that just made things a little interesting. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is Friday, November 28th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, I'm going to give you my final thoughts for F1 Fantasy ahead of the Qatar Grand Prix deadline, which is going to be the sprint race. And if you can only watch this 30-second intro, don't forget to join me for the 2-hour deadline live stream tomorrow, 2 hours. I'll be there. So yes, and also don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are past 4,000 subs. We are on the drive to 5. So let's get it going here. Team right now, Verstappen, Russell, Behrman, Sainz, Gasly, McLaren, Mercedes. The original plan most of the week has been Russell and Behrman and one of Gasly or Sainz out, and then bring in Lando, and then bring in a double 4.5 million. However, that does not need to be the case anymore because that sprint quali was mighty interesting. Let's look at not the practice one. Let's look at the sprint quali results. Oscar Piastri, George Russell, Lando Norris, Fernando Alonso in 4th. I can't tell what's more surprising. Fernando Alonso in 4th or Yuki Tsunoda in 5th? Let me know in the comments below what's more surprising. Alonso in 4th, Tsunoda in 5th. Let me know. Max Verstappen 6th, Kimi Antonelli 7th, Sainz 8th, Leclerc 9th, Albon 10th. So that was our sprint shootout. And then rattling off the rest of it, Hadjar 11th, Behrman 12th, Bortoleto 13th, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Stroll, Lawson, Hamilton 18th, Gasly, and Colapinto. So Alpine, big yikes this weekend. So yeah, is triple McLaren back on the table? I kind of think so. Lando Norris kind of had to abort his final lap. He went off at the final turn 16 there in Qatar at the end of SQ3. But man, oh man, things are interesting now. Max has been complaining all day about the Red Bull. Red Bull usually make a step overnight. However, we had this in Brazil as well, where they were not so hot. It took them a sprint qualifying. It took them a sprint with Yuki Tsunoda. It took them another qualifying for Max, where Max went out in Q1 as well for them to fix this car. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. And this is traditionally a McLaren stronghold, and they sure as heck showed it. So what are we going to do with our lineups now? I'm going to tell you right off the top right now that I am basing most of my analysis off of playing the 3X chip. I'm going to play it this weekend in Qatar, and it feels like a good time to get back on triple McLaren. The only problem is, as you can see here, I'm nowhere close to triple McLaren. I'm on single McLaren. So how do I get there? Let's find out. I'm going to have to get rid of Ollie Behrman, I'm assuming. Lando, Oscar, and I've got 7.9 million left. The nice thing, it's going to be so tight. Fernando Alonso, 9.3. I'm 0.2 short of keeping Ollie Behrman. Oh, brutal. Absolutely brutal. Mercedes, I'm fine keeping them because Russell looks okay. Sunday, as of the last time I checked, as my screen resets for about the 17th time in the second half of the season, Russell looks okay. It's supposed to be a little bit cooler on Sunday, so maybe Mercedes can come more alive in the Grand Prix. So I'm happy to hold Mercedes. Don't really have to worry about them. Happy to hold McLaren. They seem to have solved the right height issue. Everything they've been saying in the media is it was super close. It was width of a piece of paper. We got it wrong, blah, blah, blah. It seems like that's not the case here in Qatar. So getting to triple McLaren, I can get there. It's just sacrifices need to be made. And where am I going to go with that? So I could just use 3 transfers here, right? And I'd bring in 7.5 million or 7.9 million. But who do I go to? Isaac Hadjar looked pretty rapid. Esteban Ocon and Ollie Behrman went out in SQ2, but Hadjar was right on the cusp there, P11 after the sprint qualifying. Sounds like Racing Bulls are doing okay. I should let you guys know that I'm actually doing this at 7:32 Germany time. So the sprint ended less than 20 minutes ago. So there's no long run data. There's no F1 Fantasy Tools sims. There's no F1.com practice debrief. So this is kind of all going off of gut and what I was watching during FP1 and the sprint quali. Hadjar looked good, looked solid, made a little bit of a mistake. Just kind of unfortunate there. The thing is, if I had that 0.2 million more, I could go just from Pierre Gasly, get out of Alpine altogether, right to Fernando Alonso. But if I'm going here, if I want to bring in Alonso, right? Aston Martin, look, okay, 9.3 million left. Now I'm looking at a negative 20, and that's that's redonkulous. So I'm not going to go there, but I got to say, triple McLaren looks really nice. Let's say I keep Russell. I can just do that move right there. I have the money to go from this lineup straight to Lando. That's it. Double McLaren, double Mercedes. I actually roll a transfer into Abu Dhabi, but that doesn't feel like I'm taking the biggest advantage of the chip. Now, the long run data, the sims, all that stuff could come out and say that Russell is actually the second best option this weekend. I'm not going to necessarily believe that because Mercedes have been up and down at this track in recent years, and McLaren, it really is that big of a stronghold for them. So Williams have been mighty surprising today as well in FP1. Carlos Sainz 4th, Alex Albon 7th, and then they both got through to SQ3 as well. So I was saying it on the Q&A stream last night. I said in my team selection, I wasn't really expecting Williams to do that well here. We'll see what the data says. Like maybe if they had the power unit turned up for some reason, I don't know. But we need to take Williams seriously here. So the problem is that now that I have this triple McLaren option in my head, this 7.9 million is just burning a hole in my pocket. It's not a bad thing. Like I could go all the way down to Fernando Alonso, but I also kind of want to get rid of Pierre Gasly now. And doing that means I have to get into this weird negative 10 zone. With Hadjar, it leaves me 3 million in the bank, but this is a negative 20 on a chip. It feels unnecessary, but Alonso looks strong. Hadjar looks good. Sainz looks good. I feel like these are the best B tier drivers we've got this weekend. Is it going to make up for negative 20? These guys themselves, Alonso and Hadjar, probably won't make up the negative 20, but to enable me to get to this triple McLaren build is quite nice. All right, so enough about that triple McLaren build. What are some alternatives here? So George Russell, obviously P2, Max Verstappen, P6. Are they still options? Verstappen is always an option. I'm not going to just count him out. Like the option that I had earlier this week where we were talking about like going Gasly, like this is actually a simpler way for me to get to a nice team where I can bring in Alonso and I go down to Colapinto. I don't love that as much, but if I kept Gasly instead of Sainz, I'd have 6.1 million left. I could bring in a little bit of Liam Lawson. Not bad either. This doesn't feel as strong as the Alonso Sainz and who else did I have? I think it was Gasly there. I can't even, or Hadjar as the B tier drivers. But Verstappen and Norris, I can't count out Verstappen. Obviously, we want to see what the drivers say after sprint qualifying in their press conferences. Maybe Max is just super downbeat. It's a bad time for Red Bull to not be able to figure out a track. Max won here last year. However, Piastri was third. Piastri won the sprint race here in 2023 as well. Norris was second in the sprint last year. Piastri won it. They kind of flip-flopped at the end. And Norris would have probably been on the podium, if not second overall, if not winning the race, if he didn't get a 10-second time penalty for not slowing down under double yellow flags in last year's main race. So, it's going to be tight. I think it's going to be a lot more swingy than we thought it was going to be coming into this weekend. I think a lot of people are going to be on Verstappen and Norris. And something that crossed my mind earlier today is, if Lando Norris wins the World Drivers' Championship this weekend, if he is in first on Sunday, if he leads out of turn 1, if he has a 7-second gap by about lap 20, it kind of feels like there's an extra 10 points just locked in there for driver of the day. Do you want to take that chance? Like Verstappen, Piastri are not going to win driver of the day if Lando Norris wins his first World Drivers title. So Norris having the possibility, all he has to do is outscore Piastri and Verstappen by 2 points this weekend. And that's an extra 10 points in F1 fantasy. So that's why I feel like Lando Norris has to be in my team. This Oscar Piastri revival that we've seen today, it is out of nowhere. He's been pretty bad for a couple of months now. But Qatar is like one of his favored tracks. He does well here. Podium, sprint win, like I said. He finished on the podium here in 2023 as well in the main race also, I believe, if I did that correctly. And going that route just, it feels optimal. It feels exciting. It leaves $3 million in budget, which I don't love, but I'm just going to have to get over that. That's just like a mental block that I'm going to have to get over. The question is, do I take the -20 to get Gasly out of my lineup? And then who do I fill this final slot out with for the -10? Is it Hadjar, who's P11, could go forward a little bit in the sprint, or Alonso, who's likely to drop behind? I mean, Tsunoda is there, Verstappen is there, Antonelli is there. It's been the last sprint in Brazil. He lost, but he got 1 point as well. So there's that. He already got 3 points in the sprint and got 1 overtake, but lost position as well. And then on Sunday, it kind of went downhill a little bit as well. The thing about Alonso is he can't lose me budget. So if there was something phenomenal going on in the budget builder, let's go here. Like, if there was something I'm looking at here, like Hadjar is going to go up, Sainz is going to go up as long as they keep a clean weekend. The thing about this is Norris and Piastri could go down. That's not a huge deal, and McLaren as well. But Abu Dhabi is also supposed to be a pretty good track for McLaren. So taking the -10 or -20 to kind of barrel into McLaren this weekend feels right. And it's kind of, I'm having deja vu where we were at this point a month and a half ago where it was like, we're going to want triple McLaren for Qatar. And then Piastri was off on form. And now we're back to where we all started. So it's like just one giant loop. Let me know if I'm totally overreacting to FP1 and sprint quali, if you think I'm insane for going into triple McLaren. But you will find out what I actually do on tomorrow's deadline live stream 2 hours before the deadline. So don't forget to jump in the chat and talk with me there, as it's going to be one of the most crucial lineup decisions of the season, which is pretty obvious with it being the penultimate race of the 2025 season. So don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you don't miss out on any of my content. Like I said, I'll probably be tweeting throughout the night, probably tweeting throughout the morning as we get ready for that deadline stream. But let me know what your lineup thoughts are in the decision below, what you took away from FP1 and sprint quali. Always happy to chit chat F1, and hit me up on X or TikTok at F1 Fantasy Ewan. But once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I will see you tomorrow, and I will talk to you next time.